Always. Always start it before I'm ready. Hold on. Notes. And focus. And focus. Made that mistake before, not happening again. Guys, I looked at Gamdias' M1 tower really not that long ago. I'll post a card here because there's going to be a lot of similarities as far as functionality of the tower that exist in that one that also exist in this one. This is a bigger brother to the M1. This is the P1 tower. And it's a nice tower. Let's go ahead and talk a few things about it and you guys can see what you think either in this video or the other one. I'm really going to reference you mostly to watch the M1 video while I cover some of the things about the tower in this video that are specific to this tower. Now this is the more luxurious version. It is a full-size ATX tower that has glass on 4 sides. And those sides would be in the front, on the top, the left, and the right. Now the left and the right are hinged glass systems and it's pretty tinted glass. So if you're concerned about your cable management, there's a couple things to know that I'm going to cover real quick. Cable management on that right side if you're facing a tower, because it's behind glass, you want to try and do as best as you can to minimize it. Something like a modular power supply will help you where you can cut out of extra cable bloat you don't need. But the good news is unless you light that backside, it's pretty tinted and you're not really going to see it. Unlike a metal tower though, it's a magnetic glass hinge system, so you want it to be as flush as possible so you can shut that glass door and it not be popping open. The tower comes stock with 3 of the Aeolus M1 fans, and these are the Revision 3 fans, the nicer ones, the 8-pin ones, and the hub that comes with the tower also supports the 8-pin functionality. The reason I mention that is because all of their fans they sell now are the 8-pin fans with the Aeolus box 2, so if you have some Gamdias fans or plan on expanding on Gamdias fans, these will work in that Aeolus box 2, which is great. It would have been nice if they threw one extra 120mm exhaust fan in the back, it's my opinion. So you can have 3 120s in the front, 3 120s on top, and 1 120 in the back. The back is 120 only. You can't put a 140mm fan back there, so get over it. That's what that is. It's a 120 only in the back. But on top, you can put 2 140s, 3 120s. I mean, there's not really any other fan sizes that are particular mainstream. There's a bird out too. So you have 3 120mm in the front. Now you can also fit a 360 rad in the front. You can also fit a 360 rad on top. You can put a 280 rad on top and you can put a 240 rad on top. Not at the same time. The front also supports a 240mm rad. In the back, of course, it only being 120, a 120mm rad. On the top we have magnetic dust filter. It's very flush, very clean looking. I like this. I like this in the M1. I like it in the P1 as well. If you remove the clips from the top part of the chassis and take it off, which is kind of cumbersome to get to, at least it's there so that all you gotta do is kind of slide it out, clean it, put it right back. I like these flush magnetic dust filters a lot. The other dust filter is going to be located under the power supply, and it's exactly the same as the one that's in the M1 tower. It uses this sliding clip-in mechanism. I'm not a fan of that. It can be a bit of a pain to do. I would have liked to have seen maybe something that has 4 hardcore magnets on the bottom that just sort of hold it to the bottom. Now it does have a nice PSU shroud. The PSU shroud is open, so not only can you show the brand of whatever power supply on the side, Gamdias is probably hopeful that it'll be their power supply, which is designed to look good in this. The grate being open enough on the top too for air intake, which is awesome, is also open enough so that you can see the aesthetic of, hopefully again, their power supply that they want you to put in there. And it makes sense. I think that it would look really good in there as well. Now I do want to say the airflow in the tower is pretty good. I don't have any complaints about it. I know there's a lot of that whole craziness about, well, it's got glass, how good can it be? Air can't go through glass. Yeah, well, genius, it's cut. The fans are going to be able to pull it in and do just fine. Really no complaints about it whatsoever. I know a lot of major manufacturers like to change things based on people's thought on things, but I have no problem with this. I think that there's enough gap separation and plenty of room for air to be pulling into the tower just fine. It's not like a fan is put up right against the glass panel and unable to do anything because of this. There's plenty of room for air to move. No problems, no complaints from me whatsoever. Now an extreme elitist might want something that's an open air case, and in that case, get an N1 open air case. That sounded mean. I wasn't trying to sound mean, but if you're not an elitist enthusiast trying to go for hardcore overclocking where open air and refrigerated systems are what you're looking for, then don't put so much stock into that. Some people really get concerned about things that aren't worth getting concerned about. That's my opinion. And that's what I do here, bad opinions. I love the tie downs in this tower. I don't know how many times I've dealt with ones that are just kind of that little loopy hook that you got to stick something through and try and hold it and it comes back through and you spend a long time trying to just tie down a cable to something. Man, that's a pain in the butt. They did a good job here. They got these bulbous protrusions which have 4 little holes in them so that you can put a twist tie or a zip tie through and just really pull the cables together. Super, super easy. And I didn't realize how easy it made things until I had done it. And I was like, these things are incredible. I can't think of a time I've seen those in another tower. Doesn't mean they're not in other towers. but I haven't seen that in another tower, and I'm very appreciative that they were in this tower because it made life really easy, especially since cable management is important when you've got a see-through side where somebody can see in and see your cable management. You actually need to take time and do it and not just cram the basement. So just like in the other tower, if you plug in the lights to the Gamdias logo, it stays lit. There's no option to turn off the Gamdias lighting on the Gamdias logo, but if you don't want it on, just don't plug it in. It'll still be a big Gamdias right there, but it's not going to light up. And as mentioned by somebody else on the M1, they had noticed something I didn't, which is the fact that you can change the plates. You can move the I/O to where the logo is and the logo to where the I/O is. On this tower, you can do the same. Now, I think it would be really cool, people with 3D printers especially, to come up with something. It'd even be neat if there was a sold separately plate that you could put on there that just had other stuff, or just a blank one if you didn't want anything there. You know, get a blank diffused one, something that you could vinyl and put your own thing on so that when it illuminated, it could say like Matt's PC or something, you know. I think that would be pretty cool. Now, going with the mention of how many tie downs there are a lot. Plenty of places to tie down your cables and route your cables appropriately. That's something that's really cool. There's also tons of rubber grommets inside, and that's something I like to see is rubber grommets. Rubber grommets help make it look clean, and I'm really glad about not only the fact that they're there, but the placement of them is seemingly pretty perfect with the motherboard and setup, everything I did, and no complaints about that at all. Plenty of places to route your cable and kind of find that sweet spot so that it looks clean, nice, tight, and just awesome. So in the bottom you have a removable hard drive bay. If you don't want it in there, you don't want to have any kind of hard drive bay in there to mount your 3.5 millimeters, 3.5 millimeters, 2 HDDs that are 3.5 inch, or you can go with 2 SSDs on those if you'd like. Also, if you don't want it in there at all, you can take those out and just mount SSDs or 2.5 inch drives along the back. There are places for mounting them, but they're going to cover up some of your grommet holes, so make sure you don't need them. There's a cutout just below the motherboard tray, and right below there is sort of an indentation, and this is a perfect spot for the Aeolus Box 2 if you decide to expand on the Gamdias fans. Aeolus Box 2 is a magnetic box that works really well and just kind of sticks right in there. I do recommend expanding on that, maybe getting some extra Gamdias fans that come with the Aeolus box, because I'd rather control them with the remote or the motherboard versus just the front of the tower. Talk a little bit about the RGB that it has. You might notice that there's strips of RGB. There are 4 total, 2 on the front and then 2 on the top. Something I noticed with some of the effects when we go through the RGB effects is the fact that these effects collide rather than go up and go around. They kind of come up together and converge at a point, and that's strange to me, but it's not like a deal breaker. I guess it doesn't bother me, but maybe it does because I'm talking about it. But the fact that they converge versus go up and continue the color, it's a little strange to me, but it works out pretty well. Now you can control this with the buttons on the front, and we'll go over the IOs here in just a minute. But on the front, the reset button is what you're going to use to cycle through your light functions. Holding it down will turn them off, and then you'll cycle through your functions that it comes stock with, which you'll see demoed in this video. Now as far as changing brightness on them, there's no way to really change the brightness. It just sort of is what it is. So your front I/O is actually pretty simple. You've got 2 USB 3.0s, 2 USB 2.0s, a headphone and mic 3.5mm auxiliary jack, the power button, and the reset button, as well as the fan speed button there. So if you decide to go with the stock built-in hub already, which has additional fan expansion, if you didn't want to go with the Aeolus box, you can change the fan speeds as well as the lighting functions throughout the fans in the tower. It is my opinion, this is a really nice tower to work in. I've had absolutely no problems with it. It was a lot easier, a lot simpler to work in than I thought it was going to be. Big kudos from me. I really like it. I think it looks really nice too. Now I prefer lighter color towers personally. To see it come in something like white or something of that nature, maybe even a light gray, would be pretty cool to see, a gunmetal even. But this Gamdias tower, the P1 especially, much easier to work in than the M1, a lot more space, it's just really nice. Now I will make one note too, one last note about it. If you're looking to route lighting inside of it, you can see that I did that, but it took a little bit of magic and working around. Everything is so up front to the panel that closes that it's really hard to get lights into some of those places, especially when you have fans there. The power supply shroud can be a little bit difficult to deal with, but for the most part, really simple tower to work in. Really enjoyed it, like it. Think it looks good. If you're interested in it, I'll post a link where you can go read some more about it. If you're more interested in some other aspects of the tower and its construction, check out the M1 video if you haven't already, where I cover some of that, because there's a lot of similarities between these two as they're pretty much sibling towers. Anyways guys, you have a great day, night, whatever it is. I'll see you in the next video I do. Aren't you glad Fanuary is over? If you're in the market for a virtual private network VPN, then try ProXPN. That's who I use, and they're offering 50% off codes, which you can find linked down below. Sign up for it, give it a shot, browse with security, browse with privacy, and browse knowing that you can unlock streaming services that are region specific. ProXPN. If you want more information on it, click down below. Check them out. Been doing it for over a decade. They're pretty good. Yep, I spit on my own floor. Gross.